Let's move on to talk about eating, location and peace, also important in terms of help the shorebirds need. Why are the periods before and after migration so important? What the shorebirds do twice a year during migration is the human equivalent of running at 70 kilometers an hour for more than 7 days straight, day and night. Often when birds finally get to land, they fall over exhausted. Their legs have been tucked up tight for over a week, so they can't hold themselves up. Their wings can be locked in flight position and they can look very thin. Last year, we stumbled across the largest flock of bar-tailed godwits we've seen on D-band spit in years, which looked as if they'd just arrived after their New Zealand layover from their non-stop 8-day flight from Alaska. There were 40, all bunched up tight, sound asleep, being flanked by some guarding eastern curlews that had just returned from Siberia the month before, so they well knew how tired those godwits were. Some years people may notice dead shearwaters, some people call these mutton birds, washed up along Australia's eastern seaboard beaches. They are seabirds that migrate to and from the Bering Sea, located between Japan and Alaska. Mostly they die from starvation, evidence of what happens when migratory birds reach the limits of their endurance, falling into the sea, drowning, and being washed up on our shores. Some don't drown, they can make it alive to the beach, but most die soon after, even if rescued by carers. Migratory birds need to find enough food to almost double their body mass, and they need to do it quickly to be able to depart on schedule. It's a tight timetable that can't be adjusted if they haven't eaten enough or if there is bad weather. They need to reach those very important breeding grounds in time for the Arctic Circle's insect boom in June and July. The migratory shorebirds have a number of ingenious body adaptations, but one is that they can increase the size of their intestines so they are able to process more food than normal in order to put on the necessary fat and flight muscles for migration. If they are constantly disturbed, however, they will be using up that energy before the fat can be stored. So while people may think, it's alright, the birds will get out of my way, making them move rather than you moving around them could affect their ability to migrate successfully. Alarm flights, what we would call stress, uses up much more energy as they are forced to take off fast, must descend quickly, and undertake rapid flapping flight. The flight initiation distance, which is the distance between the perceived threat and taking off, is dependent on the size of the bird and the threat type. The bigger the bird, the bigger the wooz. For an eastern curlew, flight initiation distance can be 126 metres, and most people aren't able to recognise a migratory bird from that distance, so people can be disturbing them without realising it, which is where the volunteers can help, pointing out the birds and asking people to walk on the other shore, or asking people to take their dog for a walk around the suburb instead. We aren't asking for much here, as dogs are not permitted on the beach or sand flats at any time. If a dog is running off lead on the beach or tidal flats, the birds could be in a constant state of alarm flight, and I've seen this happen on more than one occasion. The dog is so intent on the chase, the birds can't land and the owners can't get it back under control until the dog is ready to stop on its own, even though the dog is normally very well trained. Some people say, well, the dog's just having fun, what's your problem? But imagine you were being chased by a tiger running for all you were worth. Would you think you were having fun?